What's going on, everybody? This is your boy, the Sports Dr. Spock, Mickey Coleman, here with another video from the Mick and Mike podcast. We will be talking about Mark Henry, former Olympic, I believe, bronze medalist in the 1996 Atlanta Olympics. Probably would have won the gold if he didn't get injured during those Olympics. Known pretty much as the world's strongest man at one time, especially as far as WWE is concerned. He's a former WWE competitor for more than 20 years, I believe. He has stories about another professional wrestler named Ahmed Johnson. He tells a story right here at the beginning about Ahmed Johnson and Ron Simmons at the beginning. But a lot of the guys did not like Ahmed Johnson. And Mark Henry right here is going to tell a story about why, pretty much. So let's get into it.
To pick a beef with. He kicked Ron and lacerated Ron.
By the way, this is fair use. I got this video off of Turnbuckle Times. You can follow them on YouTube. They got some good stuff. Check them out. Fair use. I'm doing commentary.
His liver. Ooh. And Ron was out for about 9 months. And I'm thinking the whole time, when Ron come back, I feel sorry for this dude because he gave him his body and he kicked him as hard as I ever seen a human being kicked. Teddy Long was driving the car with me, and he said, "Hey, man, you know Ron Simmons come back next week." I said, "Oh, man, that's cool." He was like, "Nah, listen, this between me and you. I live in Atlanta. I talk to Ron all the time. Ron is pissed." And he said that when he come back, he gonna hurt this dude. And I'm like,
a lot of the guys were legitimately, afraid of Ron Simmons, because he's, I guess, real. Former Florida State football player, former All American, multiple times at Florida State. This guy ain't no joke.
I'm like, oh, snap. Like I couldn't, I'm like, now I'm like, he's like, don't say nothing, I'm just letting like, don't be around him because he got heat. I was like, all right, I ain't messing with him.
When you have heat, as I've explained before in other videos, it just means somebody's mad at you. You might have heat in the office as far as the bosses, or you might have heat in professional wrestling with the fans, which is kind of good heat. Because if you're a heel, you want to have heat with the fans, or you might, in this case, have heat with another wrestler. And from what Mark Henry is saying here, Ron Simmons isn't the wrestler to have any type of heat with. Go ahead.
Anyway, so they get back, and I remember the first time I saw Ron. Ron is always like, "Hey, Henry." He walked right by me like I wasn't there. Posted up in the locker room, and I can't remember who it was. Somebody went and sat next to him. Ron grabbed all his stuff kind of in a huff and moved it over into an area where he was by himself. And it was so unlike Ron. He was so angry being back at the arena knowing that Ahmed was coming. And he was mentally preparing himself for what was about to happen.
That right there is a picture of Ron with Simmons with Ahmed Johnson on his left shoulder. The Supreme Fighting Machine Kama or Papa Shango, as you might remember, with him to the right of him, and behind him will be D'Lo Brown.
And I remember looking at the card, and Ron been gone for 9 months or more. And it was Ron Simmons, Ahmed Johnson. And I went, holy yeah, it was a sellout. I remember being a sellout.
Refer to what you're talking about a sellout. I'm sure.
Okay, so for those that don't know.
And it sounds like this interview came from off of the Steve Austin podcast. Fair use.
What a sellout. This is not when, you sell all the tickets in the arena. I'm talking about when all the boys are standing at the curtain and they're peeking through because they want to watch what's going to happen with their real eyes rather than watching a monitor or being in a gorilla position. All the boys are watching. And I remember standing next to D-Lo, and D-Lo hated Ahmed Johnson. They had a fight earlier that year, and which D-Lo stretched his ass. He had, Triple H had, Hunter Hearst Helmsley at the time, had a run-in with him, and he threatened to beat up Hunter, and he was going to moke him. And he was like, no, but D-Lo said, nobody's moking nobody. And that's when they got in a fight. But D-Lo was standing next to him. He said, hey, this ain't going to take long. And I went, like, it was a build-up. And I'm telling you, it was not a lockup. It was a mauling. Ron ran through him. His back hit the ground. Ron stomped on his stomach. And then when he rolled over to try to get up, Ron kicked him in the ribs, broke 3 of his ribs. And, I mean, it was like watching a tiger or a lion or something attack some helpless animal in the wild.
This is wild.
And
it's some wild shit.
Ron pinned him. And at this time, and I'm going to use your analogy, Ahmed Johnson was over as hell during that time.
Yes, he was.
The only person getting a reaction like yours was his. He was that over. 6 months later, done. He got killed off in one night. It was that night that Ron came back and whooped his ass. His run was over. And he never was the same. He had to leave. He couldn't be there. He couldn't be there no more.
I didn't know that.
Oh my God, Ron ran him out the business. And
Man, see, people say how fake the professional wrestling business is, but some real shit happens in the professional wrestling business. Ron gave them what they call a receipt, a huge receipt for kicking them like that in the kidneys and injuring Ron. Ron came back and did the same thing to him and broke 3 of his ribs, as the story goes. Now, I never heard the story about Ahmed getting into it with D-Lo, and D-Lo, fighting him and stretching him out. But, let's see. A real shoot fight, like a legitimate fight. Like this was you didn't hear about this. This wasn't a storyline. This was real shit, as we say.
His life of crime started because he wasn't a good enough wrestler to go to WCW and be a player. People carried him his whole career. As you can tell, I don't like him. I never liked him. He was a bad example for a black man. People struggle to get in this business and to try to make a success and try to be equal and to be better than equal, and he was ruining it. And Ernie...
Now, did they not like him because he was over right away and they didn't feel like he had the skill that they have? I'm asking you guys, was it a little possibly jealousy there? The reason why guys hated on Ahmed? I mean, what do you think? Because I understand working with somebody who isn't quite up to par and how frustrating that can be. So maybe that's how they felt about Ahmed. But, they feel like his work wasn't up to par, but he was being pushed and he was over. So maybe that was a part of the things that they didn't like. Let's listen a little bit more as we go into this.
Lad told me when I came in this business, he said, Henry, don't mess it up for everybody to look like you afterwards. And I felt like Ahmed he did not get that memo. Nobody told him. And I think that he was such a liar and people didn't have enough faith in him to do the right thing that they just wouldn't help him anyway. And so, he ended up doing his own thing. But He tried to pill me one night. You know, I went out ate with him in Fatu, and I turned my drink up, and it's just two somas in my water. I don't drink alcohol. Ain't no telling some two somas could have killed me for all I knew. It might not have, but I'm like, look, guys, somebody got to answer for this. What happened? Who put these in my drink? Fatu said, look, man, I ain't saying nothing about nobody else, but I ain't do it. And it wasn't but two of them sitting there. And I love Junior for it.
Yeah.
And we sat there. I said, look, go and finish your meal because I'm going outside and, you know, we're going to handle this when you come outside. And
Wow. So this is a third fight he was in with another black wrestler. Mm. Yeah, see, that's not really how you know the guy doesn't drink. And I understand pranks happen in professional sports. And you know, but that's not funny. You don't you know he doesn't didn't use alcohol for a reason. He didn't want that shit in his body. So who are you trying to be funny to put it in his body? I mean, just for a joke. That shit is not funny. And I'm all for pranks. I'm the silliest motherfucker you know. Okay? But if this story is true, that's really fucked up. Go ahead, Go ahead, Mark.
30 minutes go by, 40 minutes go by. I just pulled him and Fatu's bags out the car, threw them on the curb, and I went on to Miami. We were in West Palm. I'll never forget it. I was so angry. That was about as angry as I ever been in the business. And I never liked Ahmen since. And he never apologized or nothing. You know, I mean, just like this is a guy that's based my whole life on being drug free. And you're going to you're going to try to pill me. You're going to put, you know, you go to prison for that now.
Yeah.
You do that, you go to prison.
Did you never?
Yeah, a former Olympian. A lot of them won't put all that poisonous shit me and you would put in our bodies. A lot of alcohol. I wish I had a drink right now. In fact, what are y'all doing later? Let's go to a local watering hole and get watered. But like I said before, he said he never even had it before. Okay, and then my man put this shit in his drink. He probably knew that Mark didn't have it. That's not funny.
Ever drink?
I never drank. I drank in college. My freshman year in college, when I first left and went to Pikes Peak Community College in Colorado Springs at the Olympic.
Okay, so he has had one drink. But that's still not his thing. Now, this is a grown man. They only had one drink at the time.
Training center. I got so sick that night. I was like, Lord God, if you deliver me from this pain and this spinning and vomiting, I'll never do it again. Never drink again.
Are you serious?
I don't drink. I never drank after that.
No pills on the road?
Nothing. I never did. I don't smoke. I smoke cigars with the boys every now and then, but that's more social. It's not like I smoke cigars every week or every month. Every 2 or 3 months, I might smoke a cigar. That's about it.
There's a lot of temptations on the road. How did you stay steadfast and
strip clubs?
This is see, this is very interesting because on the road, like they're on the road, you have to find some type of recreation in that time when you're out there. If you've ever traveled cross country, and I have, it is not what I would call, especially if you've done it more than once, as I have. Is seeing middle America isn't the most exciting thing. And you're stuck in the middle of nowhere for hours at a time. So, you know, you might want to do something to kind of stimulate your mind. You know? And a lot of the guys do. And then they do it together, and that's how they party. Mark, excuse me, for what he's saying, didn't do all this shit. Yeah.
Everybody got
Everybody,
yeah. Okay.
Ted DiBiase used to say that everybody had a price. You just coined a new T-shirt. Everybody's got a vice. Man, I was a fool, man. I used to hit them strip joints, man. Them shake clubs. I hang out with the boys. If you spend $5, I spend $5. We had a ball, and then you got to grow up. And I just grew up and became a family guy.
Man, that's awesome. You got to a guy that you didn't like, and that guy has said things about me that are untrue. I'm not a fan either. But I wanted.
Oh, I heard him call you a racist.
Yep.
Out of all the people on earth that's of Caucasian persuasion, I would attest that that you are not a racist.
Thank you for attesting to that.
I heard what he said.
I've never been able to address that because I've never had
Wow. So that's Stone Cold who said it's a picture of Stone Cold with the middle finger up and Ahmen just looking. That's Stone Cold. I wonder what it was about him that well, I don't wonder some of the stuff I'm hearing. How he rubbed so many people the wrong way. Maybe I should do another reaction video of him retorting. He has to have some videos of him saying, this is why people didn't like me, or this is how I felt about the situation. I'm gonna have to find that. We're gonna have to do a reaction video to that too.
Or needed to.
Yeah.
You didn't have to validate his stupidity.
No. That's a completely fabricated story and complete horseshit. And I've maintained my silence, and this is the first time I've ever addressed it or talked about it.
I'm glad we can, because the source that it came from was not valid enough for anybody to believe it anyway.
Wow, okay. So that was Mark Henry, and then I saw a couple other videos of other wrestlers saying things about this certain guy. We're all gonna work with people we may not like, but you still have to work with them to accomplish the goal. We all go to work to make money. Okay, and that should be the main goal. You don't have to like the person next to you. But also, you shouldn't be fucked with at work either. And it sounds like that he was pretty much just fucking with a lot of people. And that thing with Ron Simmons, because I remember the kick. I can't tell or not if he was trying to hurt him on purpose or not, but it was you could hear it. It sounded like a firecracker. So I remember the kick. But we are, like I said before, are around people we don't like, but you still have to find a way, at least while you're at work. You don't have to deal with them no more after that, to get through it and continue to make your money so you can live a nice, happy life. And keep your job. Don't lose your job. We're not professional wrestlers, so we can't give people receipts at work. You end up fired and in jail, so don't do that silly shit. This is your boy, the Sports Dr. Spock from the Mick and Mike podcast. Don't forget to hit that like and tell your friends about us so, you can share in on the fun we have on the Mick and Mike podcast. We'll be coming at you live on Sundays. Check us out. Until then, this is the Sports Dr. Spock. Y'all have a great one.